Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Liliana from class 33 6A25 with SID 33220021. So today I'm gonna present the final project of sociolinguistics. In this video, I will present four important topics in sociolinguistics. The first is language change, register, stereotype, and speech aid. Okay, let's start to the first material. The first material is language change. Language change refers to the natural and gradual evolution of a language over time. This evolution may affect pronunciation or phonology, vocabulary or lexicon, grammar or morphology, and syntax and meaning semantics. Language is not static, it adapts to social, cultural, technological, and political development. All living language change, only dead language remain unchanged. Okay, there are five types of language change. The first type is phonological change or sound change. Change in the pronunciation of words over time. For example, the Greek vowel shift in English 15th until 18th century. Like word bite was pronounced like it, meat was pronounced like met. Next is morphological change or word formation. Change in the structure or formation of words. Example have was once happened in Old English. Regularization occurs. Syntactic change or sentence structure, change in how words are ordered and structured. Example of English had more flexible words ordered due to inflection, but modern English relies more on subject or axiom. Next is major type. Next is semantic change or meaning shift. Change in the meanings of words. For example, word gay used to mean happy, but now commonly means homosexual. And the word awful used to mean inspiring, but now means very bad. So the fifth major type is lexical change or vocabulary extension. Addition of new word groups. Borrowing, for example, piano or in Italian, sushi in Japanese. Neologism, the creation of new words. For example, the word selfie and hashtag. Blending, the word smoke from smoke and smoke. Case of language change. The first is social factors. Class differences, identity, expression, prestige, and etc. Example, working class versus upper class speech pattern. The second is contact with other cultures and language. Bilingualism, code switching, and language. For example, Indonesian has Dutch, Arabic, and English influences. The third is technological advancement or new invention, new term. Example, Google it, me, and streaming. The fourth is language. Slang and youth language evolve rapidly. For example, cool, lit, fire, could. Next, assimilation. Okay. Next is mechanism of language change. The first is assimilation, the second is analogy, and the third is grammaticalization. Assimilation, one sound become more like a nervy sound, for example, handbag or handbag. Next is analogy, irregular forms become regular over time. For example, means milk, milk in some dialects. Grammaticalization, words become grammatically morphemes. For example, going to becomes gonna. This is the example. The Old English is, Middle English is, Modern English I, and dan lain-lain. Sentence example of Old English is on shiny. Modern English is I'm the key. Okay, can we this yourself? Second material is register. Definition register refers to the variation in language used depending on context, audience, purpose, and social setting. It refers how people adjust their language when speaking formally or informally, professionally or casually. For example, you speak differently to your boss than to your friend. Why register matters in sociolinguistics? It helps us understand how language adapts in real English, show how people negotiate rules and relationships, affect how we perceive politeness, professionalism, or casualness, and can influence power dynamics, identity, and communication success. This is the level or type of register. There are six types: formal, informal, and neutral. Example content in formal type. Business meeting and interview language use is I would like to request your help. But in informal situation, you or when you sitting with your friend, use language use is hey, can you help me out? And nature or daily conversation or in public, like the train leaves at 9 a.m. Next is factors that influence register. The first is style, skills. What is the topic being discussed? Like leisure, the medical, academic, and casual style. Casual style. The second is tenor. Who are the participants and what is their relationship? Like teacher, students, and friends, or maybe strangers. The third is mode. How is the communication delivered? Spoken, by spoken, written, online chat, or maybe formal letter. These are part of Halliday's theory of register, field, tenor, and mode. Register in different contexts. Uh, in the request, use the formal register like, would you mind assisting me with this? But informal situationship or maybe with your friend, you can say, could you help me with this? Greeting. Informal situation, you can use good morning, how do you do? But with but in informal register or informal situationship, you can use hey, what's up? Apology. I sincerely apologize for the mistake. But with you talking with your friends, you can use sorry, my bad. Unfortunately, I must decline. You can use nah, I'm good. Next, register in digital communication. The first is online platform has developed new type of register, like email is for semi-formal, WhatsApp or DA. or direct message is for informal situation. Slang is in, this is for formal and professional situation. The second is emoji, abbreviation, and slangs are part of digital informal register. For example, lol, oh my god, or OMG, and by the way, or BW, okay? Next, okay, the summary is register reflects how we adapt language based on social factors. It plays a role in communication, clarity, politeness, and impression. Understanding register helps in better language use in different settings. Next, the third topic is stereotypes. Stereotypes are often simplified generalization or fixed ideas about a particular group of people. These beliefs are often inaccurate, exaggerate, and unfair, and they can be positive or negative. In sociolinguistic, stereotypes relate to how language and speech are judged based on social groupings such as gender, uh, ethnicity, regions, class, or maybe age. For example, all people white, all people with British accent are intelligent. Linguistic stereotypes. Linguistic stereotypes happen when people make assumptions about others based on how they speak. For example, judging someone with a rural accent as uneducated. The second is assuming women talk more than men, believing people who use slang are lazy or rebellious. This judgment can lead to linguistic discrimination and sexual inequality. Next, common type of linguistic stereotypes. The first is regional stereotypes. Southern American English sounds uneducated. British English sounds Southeast, Southeast Gender stereotypes like women are more talkative, men use more powerful language. The third, ethnic stereotype, associating certain ethnic accent with criminality or rudeness. The fourth is class-based stereotypes, assuming that working class people use bad grammar. Age stereotypes, teenagers are destroying the language with slang. Okay, impact of linguistic stereotypes. Linguistic stereotypes can be effect to job opportunities. Example, action may influence hiring decisions. Social acceptance, people may be excluded or mocked or mocked. Self-esteem and identity. People may feel pressure to change their speech and education. Students with non-standard dialects might be unfairly evaluated. Okay, next. The next is case studies or real life example. The first is African American Vernacular English or AACE in the US. Often, often unfairly judged as incorrect or lazy, so it has consistent grammar rules. The second, Jakarta versus non-Jakarta dialects in Indonesia. Speakers from other regions may be more or not taken seriously to their accent. The third is Indian English call center. Accent often face prejudice despite fluency and professional context. So this is stereotype versus fact. The stereotype, women talk more than men. The reality is we should show men and women talk equally. People with rural accent are uneducated. Accent is not same with intelligence or education level. Using slang means full grammar. Slang is part of dynamic creative language use. Sociolinguistic theories on stereotypes. Label variation theory. Language variation is normal in systematic, not invariant. Communication accommodation theory or GIL. People adjust their speech to gain approval or create distance. Feminist versus diverse modern canon. Gender difference in speech may reflect power, not personality. Hospital stereotypes promote linguistic awareness in education, respect our dialects and language varieties, avoid making assumptions based on accent or grammar, and celebrate linguistic diversity as a part of identity. Summary: stereotypes are social beliefs, not linguistic facts. They can cause harm in real life, job, school, and confidence. Sociolinguistics teach us to value all forms of language equally. Let's not judge someone's brain based on their accent. Next is the last, the last topic is about speech age. Speech age is an action that is performed through speaking. When we say something, we are not just using words, we are doing something like asking, promising, apologizing, commanding, etc. This concept was first introduced by E.L. Austin and later developed by John Shelley. For example, saying "I promise to help" is not just speaking, it is doing the act of promising. Okay, next. According to John Shelley, there are five types of speech aids. The first is assertive, like stating a fact. It's raining. The directive, asking someone to do something, like please help me. Commissive, committing to an action, like I will be there tomorrow. I will call you tomorrow. Expressive, showing your feelings, like I'm sorry for being late. I'm sorry for being late, or maybe I'm sorry. And declaration is changing reality, like I'm not pronounce you husband and wife, or you are fired. Next, next is components of a speech aid. There are two parts, the according to Austin. The first is locutionary aid. The actual word spoken, for example, can you pass the salt? Illusionary act, like the speaker's intention. For example, requesting talk, not just asking about ability. The third is per- perlocutionary act. The effect, the effect on the listener. For example, the listener hands over the salt. Okay. Next, example of speech aid. Example of in situation like making appointment, giving advice, expressing gratitude, giving information, and announcing results. Occurrence like, "Hey, let's meet at 3 p.m." It's commercial. "You should get more rest." It's directive. "Thank you so much." It's expressive. The store is closed today. Assertive, and "you are expelled from the team." It's declaration. Next, why speech acts matter in sociolinguistics? They help us understand how language or action show how culture, context, and power affect communication, reveal how politeness or indirectness is used, explain why the same sentence can mean different things in direct context. For example, "Can you help me?" sounds polite, but it's actually a directive. Okay. Direct cultures use speech as differently. Apologize in Japan are often more frequent and formal than in the US. Requests in Indonesia tend to use indirect forms like "bisa minta tolong." Misunderstanding may happen when people from different cultures interpret speech differently as literally instead of pragmatically. Speech as versus literal meaning. For example, "Wow, it's cold in here." Literal meaning is comment about the temperature, but speech as meaning is a request to close the window. "You are really something." Literal is praise, but speech as like could be sarcasm or depends on the tone or context. "You are really something." This shows the importance of pragmatic understanding speech as. So, summary. Speech aids are action done through speech aids are action done through words. They refers mindset like assertive, directive, commercial, expressive, and declaration. Meaning depends on intention and context, not just words. Understanding speech aids helps avoid miscommunication, especially across cultures. Okay, I think that's all for my presentation today. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.